There's a lot to look forward to at the box office in the coming year. From superhero action thrillers to down-to-earth dramas and everything in between, here are all the movies that will blow you away in 2019. M. Night Shyamalan continues his surprise superhero trilogy with Glass, a sequel to 2017's Split, whose final act unexpectedly tied in with 2000's Unbreakable. The movie will bring back all the main players from both films, with Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, and Anya Taylor-Joy all confirmed to return. As revealed in the first trailer, the story also involves a psychiatrist played by Sarah Paulson who observes the three men in an institution while probing their delusions of grandeur. Speaking with Vulture, Shyamalan described Glass as a story about the struggle between doubt versus belief. Given Shyamalan's love of twists, there's certainly more to Glass than we know, but this is a story nearly 20 years in the making, so we're sure the director knows what he's doing. Glass is slated to arrive in theaters on January 18th. Marvel's first female-led superhero film will be long overdue when it hits theaters on March 9, 2019, but the movie is shaping up to be worth the wait. For one thing, Captain Marvel has Oscar winner Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has said she'll be, quote, as powerful a character as we've ever put in a movie. The studio has directors Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck at the helm for an origin story for Carol, all of which should help sow the seeds for Marvel's Phase 4 storylines while setting up a new hero who's sure to be a key component of the fight against Thanos in Avengers 4. As if that weren't enough, the film's first trailer makes it clear that we can expect plenty of space action and more than a few laughs. 2019 is going to be a good year for horror, and a good year for Stephen King. In addition to It Chapter 2, the year will also see the release of Pet Sematary, based on Stephen King's 1983 novel about a family that moves in next to a burial ground with disturbing powers that prove too difficult to resist. The book was previously adapted for the big screen in 1989, but the newest version of Pet Sematary has some horror visionaries on board in directors Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer, who previously worked on Starry Eyes, as well as episodes of MTV's Scream TV series. Jason Clarke is attached to the role of Dr. Louis Creed, first played by Dale Midkiff in the 1989 Pet Sematary film. Joining Clarke for the remake is Amy Seimetz as Louis's wife Rachel, and John Lithgow, who is set to portray Creed's neighbor Judd Crandall, who knows all the dark secrets of the animal burial site after which the movie is titled. With an experienced crew and a stellar cast locked in place, not to mention a suitably freaky first trailer, Pet Sematary should make for a spooky Easter weekend when it premieres April 5th. Shazam has been a long time in the making, but the DC Comics movie is currently slated to finally hit theaters on April 5th, 2019. The movie finally found a star in October 2017 in Chuck's Zachary Levi, who will play the grown-up superhero that teen Billy Batson is able to turn into when he utters the magic word.
Shazam!
Are you for real?
Say, okay! Shazam?
The movie's first trailer made a splash at Comic-Con by making it clear it'll bring a different tone to the DC universe. Its premise means it is sure to be a bit more ridiculous and humorous than DC's past movies, and the young hero should allow for the mix of fantastical and real-life problems that have served superhero films well in the past. While Black Adam won't appear now that he's getting his own standalone movie, the film has recruited a scary villain in Mark Strong, who is rumored to be playing Dr. Sivana, Shazam's arch-nemesis.
Have you ever noticed how in Hollywood movies all the villains are played by Brits?
Maybe we just sound right.
The behind-the-scenes crew also hints at a different DC film than we've seen before, with Jack the Giant Slayer's Darren Lemke attached to work on the script and Lights Out's David F. Sandberg set to direct.
I choose you as champion.
David Harbour will unveil his new take on Hellboy on April 12, 2019, with the Stranger Things star joining director Neil Marshall for what's been described as a gritty take on the classic Mike Mignola comics. Harbour has said the movie will use a darker tone to differentiate itself from Guillermo del Toro's adaptations, adding it'll be more of a character piece. While Harbour's take on Hellboy looks spot on, the rest of the cast is also packed with potential, including Mila Jovovich as the villainous Blood Queen, Sasha Lane as Alice Monaghan, and Ian McShane as Hellboy's adopted father. Maybe he'll teach young Hellboy a few combat moves.
Get ready to meet your maker. Oh, God! We hadn't even started yet!
Never underestimate your opponent.
The fourth Avengers film will mark the end of Marvel's Phase 3, which means it's probably time to break out your tissues. The current set of films is coming to an end, and many of the big-name contracts are expiring as well.
I'm doing what has to be done to stave off something worse.
You keep telling yourself that.
In other words, Avengers 4 will probably result in quite a few character deaths, with Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and more all likely to bite the dust. With the no-holds-barred approach the studio will likely have to the film, Avengers 4 is sure to be epic, ending dozens of storylines set up in past films while also placing the framework for what's to come in the franchise's future. This is definitely one of the can't-miss adventures of the year. It arrives on May 3rd. Keanu Reeves' animal-loving hitman is coming back to theaters on May 17, 2019 for John Wick Chapter 3. The film will see Wick going on the run with a $14 million contract for his head. Having broken the rules and taken a life on the grounds of the Continental Hotel, Wick finds that he's being targeted on all sides. The crafty killer for hire should already be long dead, but he's given a chance to escape by the Continental's manager, Winston, who grants him a 1-hour grace period before his membership is revoked. He's banned from all services, and he's cut off from the other members. Wick turns to the service industry to stay alive as he fights his way out of New York City in this third installment, which is directed by the previous film's Chad Stahelski. Of course, we're pretty sure there's only one way it can all end.
I'll kill them. I'll kill them all.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters is the follow-up to the well-received 2014 film featuring the monster and brings in a largely overhauled roster of stars, with Stranger Things' Millie Bobby Brown, The Conjuring's Vera Farmiga, and Friday Night Lights' Kyle Chandler playing a family swept up in the trouble the monster causes. With the impressive cast, Godzilla, King of the Monsters should be able to live up to the positive reviews of the original while providing more big-screen monster mayhem. As the first trailer indicates, the big green guy can expect a lot of company in this installment, and it isn't necessarily of the friendly variety either. Look for it on May 31st. Tom Holland's Spiderman is set to continue his adventures in a second standalone film on July 5, 2019, which will follow another year of Peter's high school experience. The first movie was wildly successful with both critics and fans, and the second is bringing back a lot of the elements that contributed to its greatness, including director John Watts, who's working from a script by Homecoming co-writers Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley. Despite all the returning names in the film's crew, Spider-Man Far From Home will be far from the same movie. The sequel takes our friendly neighborhood Spidey to Europe over summer vacation, which happens after both Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4, according to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. Hopefully that means a big return for Spidey in Avengers 4, or he'll need some extra help getting around.
I'm shocked.
Pennywise will make his terrifying return to the big screen in September 2019. It Chapter 2 is set to hit theaters almost exactly 2 years after the first film, which followed the lives of a group of children known as the Losers Club as they dealt with the advances of a shape-shifting evil. The sequel will move to the present, showing the adult versions of the characters as they return to the town of Derry to deal with Pennywise's reemergence. Director Andy Muschietti is set to return for the sequel, alongside screenwriter Gary Dauberman. The first film's massive box office haul and critical acclaim meant it was easy to land big-name stars to play the adult losers, with Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader, Jay Ryan, and James Ranson set to appear. The movie's child actors will likely return as well, with Muschietti saying there will be dialogue between timelines. Muschietti has also said that he would like the second film to explore the cosmic dimension of the novel, dealing with some of its otherworldly aspects. Sign us up. No joke, 2 standalone films featuring Gotham City's most infamous tormentor are being produced in 2019, and one could even get released before the end of the year. Variety reported in June 2018 that Jared Leto's DCEU Joker is getting his own movie, but it's still unknown if it will film before or after the upcoming Suicide Squad sequel, set to go into production in 2019. And then there's the wild card. A Joker origin movie outside the DCEU starring acting powerhouse Joaquin Phoenix is now underway. This means there's a chance this reportedly darker and more experimental take on Batman's iconic arch-nemesis, directed by The Hangover's Todd Phillips, could make it into theaters in October 2019. Warner Brothers describes the script, co-written by Phillips and Academy Award nominee Scott Silver, as a gritty character study, but also a broader cautionary tale. Sounds like no laughing matter. There have been some shakeups behind the scenes of Star Wars Episode 9, with Lucasfilm dropping Jurassic World helmer Colin Trevorrow a few months before production was set to begin. They found someone who's definitely qualified to take over, however, with The Force Awakens' J.J. Abrams returning to write and direct the trilogy finale. Episode 9 will provide a resolution to the Skywalker saga while setting up a future of standalone movies and spin-offs, meaning that while we're undoubtedly in for the final appearances of some classic characters, this chapter will also serve as a launching pad for years of the franchise's future. It's set to hit theaters in December 2019.